Hi folks, Chase Steele from the Faculty Union here, otherwise known as the BCAHE. We've got some information for you on full-time faculty promotion that we'd like to share. As a preface, we want to apologize for the late date of this video. I know that a lot of you have been eagerly awaiting its arrival. We ran into some legal issues, some stumbling blocks, and some stalls in the negotiating process. That being said, we want to get this video out to you as quickly as possible. So I apologize if it's a little rough around the edges. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to cover eligibility, deadlines, timelines, basic application, responsibilities that you incur with the new promotion, and the benefits that you will derive from being promoted. Eligibility. For the 2014-2015 academic year, faculty who are in their third year of post-tenure through their 10th year of post-tenure are eligible to apply. Now, for 2015-2016, faculty who are in their third post-tenure year or greater may apply for senior associate professor. In order to apply, faculty must have received a satisfactory or meets expectations rating on their most recent post-tenure evaluation. Now, the old post-tenures used unsatisfactory, satisfactory, and outstanding. The new ones are going to use does not meet expectations, meets expectations, and exceeds expectations. Long story short, you can't have unsatisfactory or does not meet expectations. If you're currently working on an improvement plan, you're going to be barred from moving forward with the application process. Now, on a happier note, if you're promoted to senior associate professor, then during your third year in that new rank, you will actually be able to apply for the next rank, which is full professor. No one needs to worry about that now. Everyone's going to do senior associate professor first, then we'll worry about full professor in a few years from now. Deadline. Applications are due the 6th instructional day of spring quarter. For faculty members who have a current post-tenure review, they're going to go ahead and submit their application to the dean by the 6th day of spring quarter to meet the deadline. The dean's then going to forward a file with a recommendation to the full-time promotional review committee by the 21st day of spring quarter. The full-time promotional review committee is going to deliberate, and they're going to go ahead and send their recommendations to the president by the 50th day of spring quarter. Faculty members who are in the process of completing a post-tenure review with their dean are going to have a slightly delayed timeline. They're still going to submit their application on the 6th day of spring. They're also going to be responsible for making sure that the dean has everything that they need to complete that post-tenure review. Deans will go ahead and complete the post-tenure review and include it along with a recommendation to the full-time promotional review committee by 7 calendar days after the end of summer quarter. The full-time promotional review committee is going to deliberate, and they're going to forward recommendations to the president at least 7 calendar days prior to opening day. Presidential decision. Decisions on all applications for promotion will be made in time to adjust contracts for the upcoming academic year. Assumption of increased responsibility, and the new pay rate will begin in fall quarter. Let's talk about the application process. You're going to need your most recent post-tenure review. You're also going to need a narrative portion for your application, some optional documents, and a professional plan. In the following slides, we'll get into more detail about all of these elements. Let's start with post-tenure reviews. Either a hard copy or digital copy is just fine. HR is going to have copies of these in your personnel file. You'll want to contact them early and make sure that you get what you need for the application process. For those of you who have an ongoing review, The dean will forward it after you've completed the post-tenure review process. Narrative application. Let's talk about some of the elements that are going to be required. First of all, you need to demonstrate your willingness to assume responsibilities of the new rank. You're also going to need to reflect on how your professional development has improved content and pedagogy. Lastly, you're going to want to explain your merit via self-evaluation related to at least 4 of the categories from the exemplars table. I'll show you the exemplars table in a second, but it's basically the criteria from Appendix B and a new column called Innovation, which is relevant only for promotion. The narratives are going to have some length restrictions. Faculty with an old post-tenure review, based on Appendix A, must limit their narrative to 5 pages, excluding appendices and data. Faculty with a new post-tenure review, based on Appendix B, can substitute their post-tenure self-evaluation for their narrative application if they like it that much. Or they can choose to submit a 2-page narrative to accompany their 3-page post-tenure self-evaluation. Either way, old post-tenure reviews or new ones end up with a 5-page maximum, excluding appendices and data. Optional documents. You can include a CV, publications, supplemental student evaluation data and analysis. This is probably a great idea to include if your current post-tenure review is actually a couple of years old. You're also going to need to include a professional plan. This professional plan is a 3-year tentative work plan. It basically is going to show how you expect to meet the new responsibilities and the leadership required over a 3-year period. It's not a contract or a checklist for the future. We recognize that some things you're planning on just won't work out. You're going to replace them with other things. You may have new opportunities that pop up that are better than what you planned originally. All that is fine. However, it's expected that any changes in the future are still in line with the new expectations of the promotion. In other words, you can't just decide not to do anything. This is the exemplars table that I brought up earlier on in the video. Everyone should recognize the first 6 categories across the top. They're directly out of Appendix B. The 7th one, Innovations, is going to be relevant for promotional consideration and promotional consideration only. That being said, this exemplars table is going to be really useful when you start trying to create your professional plan. A couple of remarks on the exemplars table to make sure that everybody's on the same page. This table is meant to provide examples of the possible evolution in a faculty member's duties and responsibilities through promotion stages. It is not a checklist. It's just here to give you ideas about possible pathways. It's incredibly likely, given faculty members' different skills and strengths, that you're going to specialize in one or a couple of these areas. That makes perfect sense. There's going to be a spectrum of creditable faculty engagement, and it's going to range from significant contribution in a few categories to truly outstanding contribution in just one category. You're not expected to fulfill all of these as a prerequisite for promotion or as a consequence of getting promoted. You just need to come up with a professional plan that convinces the full-time promotional review committee that you're up to the task. This does not mean that you have to add hours onto your day. It just means that you're participating at a slightly higher level. You're tending to lead committees. You are reaching out to help other faculty members around you. You are leading success initiatives at the programmatic level. You can go ahead and check out any of these boxes in row 2. That'll give you a good idea what level of involvement is expected from a senior associate professor. Keep in mind, you don't have to do all 7. So when you're creating your work plan, you want to think about the amount of time and specialization that's appropriate for you in a few to perhaps only one of these categories. You can also look ahead and see about the kinds of things that would qualify as full professor contributions in the row on the bottom. Some of you are going to find out that you're probably already performing at or near full professor levels in a couple or maybe even several of these categories. You just want to make sure that that's reflected in your application, and you're going to be a slam dunk. One last time as a reminder though, this represents possible pathways and examples. It is not a to-do list. You're going to pick things that make sense for you, and you're going to put together a professional plan that has a decent work-life balance and leverages your skills over time. Responsibility. You'll be responsible for taking on a leadership role or roles in governance, service, initiatives, and other stuff in support of the college's missions and goals. I really think the best way to understand what's expected of you is to look at some of the possible examples that show up on the exemplars table we just covered. Just remember, you don't have to do all of them. Benefits. Successful promotion will move you horizontally on the pay schedule. That means that if you're tenured already, you're in column B. If you receive promotion, you're going to get moved over to column C, which represents a $3,000 yearly increase. 3 years later, successful promotion to full professor will move you to column D, a $2,000 yearly increase. On a related note, if you have a terminal degree, which was not recognized or rewarded at the time of hire, this can now be recognized at the time of promotion. This also would apply to someone who finishes a terminal degree after being hired. So, folks with terminal degrees will advance on the pay schedule by 1 step. As an example, if you're currently on A3 and you receive tenure, tenure would move you to B3. Tenure is technically a promotion. If you have a terminal degree that wasn't rewarded at the time of hire, or you finished one since being hired, then you'd move vertically to B4. As always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to your BCAHE executive officers. All of our names are here, as well as our email addresses and our phone numbers.